Today we're going to run you through the Y62 raised console lid fitment. What you've got to do is get this rear panel off. Essentially it just clips off, but we need to give it a little bit of help from the front. So we're going to use a plastic trim removing tool. If you use a screwdriver and you're nice and careful, it'll be alright. We're going to get the tool in between these two surfaces here. You can see there's a join going right across, and we're just going to gently pry that off, and then pull from the back and the whole thing just pulls away. Next up, we've got three Phillips head screws under here that attach the bottom of the console lid, and we're just going to undo them before we move to the front. Next task is to get rid of this plastic trim here so we can get to the hinge that actually holds the lid on. I find it easiest if you just pry up in this corner where you can get your finger under it, and just with a bit of a gentle lever again, we just work our way around, unclipping it till it pops out. That's revealed the 4 screws that actually hold the lid to the console, so we're just going to undo them and the whole thing will come out and we can reassemble it outside the car. Once we've got the console out, the first thing we're going to do is get this plastic trim off the bottom. There's just 2 Phillips head screws here. Make sure you hold on to all the screws as you pull them out, because we'll need some of them for reassembly. Once we've got the screws out, we've got to pry this up. This bit's a little bit tricky. Once again, we've got to gently get in between the two halves, and just gently lever it up, working our way around. And then it just slides forwards. It's got these 4 clips at the front. And we just pop that to the side for later. Once that trim's out of the way, it reveals all the screws that hold the bottom half of the lid together. We just take them all out, pop them to the side. Because the lid hinges both ways, it's actually got the hinge at the front and there's a hidden hinge at the back. So what you've got to be careful of is, as you start removing this rear hinge is going to try and spring up, and you've just got to hold that down as you lift the metal plate out, and then you can let that go. With that apart and out of the way, we can get rid of that now. We're onto the lid itself, so we've got another row of screws here. We just pop them out and we can pop the lid apart. Now that we've got all the screws out, we've got the same problem as before. We've got to just gently pry the 2 bits of plastic apart. Find it easiest to grab one of the corners. Once again, we're using a plastic tool. We can gently get that in there and just start prying it up. We've got a row of clips around the edges. Once that's unclipped, we'll just slide out of the way. The last step is to remove the upper hinge, just these 4 screws, and that's got the lid fully disassembled. Okay, so now that we've got the leather lid on its own, we've removed the inner insert from the lid, and we're going to pop the new one in. So it just literally drops straight back in place of the one that we just removed. We'll reuse the screws that came out of that to put it back together. So the kit comes with a 3rd hinge for allowing the top part of the lid to open. So we just drop that on. It's got a locating pin, and using some of the screws provided, we just attach that on. Once we've got the hinge attached into the lid, we've got this plastic trim that we're going to clip over, and it's got 5 screws in there that hold it in place. So now we're going to attach the new lid to the center section of the console. So we've got this hinge here, we're going to slide it up, and we've got to screw it to the underside of this piece here. So we'll slide that in there, line up our 4 holes in here, and then Screws that we've been provided in the kit to attach that. Now the original forward flipping hinge attaches into the bottom of this section, so we're just going to drop it in there. It's got a little locating pin, and we'll reuse the screws that that was fitted to the original console with to put that back on. I've got the original console lid insert that we're going to assemble back into this middle section of the new console. It's got a couple of tabs you've just got to line up, and then it'll just click into place. And we're just going to use the countersunk screws that came with the kit to put that together. Now we've got to assemble this finisher piece that is what you see when you open the console. So we've got to juggle getting this metal bracket back in, sandwiching this front hinge here, and then we'll look at the rear hinge as well. And then the rear hinge just drops back into here the same way that it came apart. The final trick is to slide this finishing piece in here. We've got these two little clips here that we've got to align in there, and then it'll just slide in and clip into place. Alright, so we've assembled the console ready to go back in the car. So we've got our new top section here. This is what we've added to the console. We've got our sliding function working. So if you're not the tallest person and you sit reasonably far forwards, you've got a better armrest. We've added some height to the console, so for most people that is more comfortable to rest on. And then our factory opening function still works as well, so we've got access to the main console. Remembering we've got some screws that come up from the bottom and some that go up from the top, so we've done the ones from the top side, and we're going to drop this trim back in, just pushing evenly around the edge so that we don't stress any of the clips up particularly. That's the front side of it done, and we'll pop around the back and pop the 3 screws in and pop the back trim back on.